Welcome back to the Payment Shed podcast. Riding solo today with Justin's children sadly being struck down by chickenpox, but I'm delighted to be joined by Jake Dovey, CEO of PayModum. Jake, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me on.
Thanks for joining us today. Now, we're going to talk about yourself, the business. So I'll just get a little bit of a background from every guest first in terms of how you ended up in the payments and fintech industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I started my journey in deliverable effects 13 years ago for a company called Baden Hill, before fintech was ever kind of a buzzword or a thing. That company got acquired shortly after I joined by a company called Earthport, which had like a hub and spoke sort of
Amanda, was Amanda there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Payments, right?
I
was at cash flows when she went into cash flows, so there you go.
Yeah, crikey, cash flows. I know a lot of them. We had 2 or 3 from cash flows, I believe, over there.
Okay.
That joined us over the years. Yeah.
Nice, yeah. Did Visa bought Earthport, right?
Visa bought Earthport 2019. I think it was a defensive play versus MasterCard's acquisition of, trying to remember it now. It was sort of like an orange logo. They were doing something very similar to us at the time, sort of disbursements, payouts. They were sort of going more for the challenger bank, where we had sort of more of what I would describe as sort of legacy sort of players. And then we'd been able to catch a couple of the early stage fintechs, so Wise back in the day, Payoneer, some of the sort of big names now,
big brands,
today. But yeah, we got pretty lucky there, and no secrets. There was quite a bit of the online gambling transactions and business.
Everyone's origin story, right?
Yeah, it certainly paid everyone's salary. I know that much. But wonderful time. So I left there 2018 after 4.5 years. Had a short stint at Trustly. So Trustly back then, incredibly popular. It was sort of, Swish was there, but it was really just peer-to-peer, and it wasn't really recognized at checkout at that stage. So Trustly really was the lion's share of the checkout or the cashier back then.
Well, the original A2A players as well, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, quite a great story that they have over there as well. Then spent some time on my acquiring experience at what was SafeCharge, that's now Dovey.
Yeah.
And then started PayModum. It will be 6 years next month.
Wow.
Oh, it will be 2 months after this podcast comes out.
Revealing the secrets of the show, Jake.
Yes, sorry.
And obviously orchestration is undoubtedly one of the most talked about areas in payment still. So I wanted to kind of dive a little bit into kind of how you, obviously 6 years ago, but you've worked in payments and then you've decided to build something yourself. What were like the key moments in your career that made you get to that point where you're like, you know what, I'm going to go and do something on my own now, right?
Yeah. Look, I'm going to be really honest. I lost my job, and I got a call from a friend. He goes, "I'm selling payments." I go, "How? You're not a PSP. You don't have a license." So we sort of started to sell payments together, and all of the jobs that I wanted. So I remember going for an interview at Adyen. They didn't want me. And then I remember probably sending 5, maybe 6 very annoying emails to anybody that would respond to me at checkout.com back then. I have a good story about checkout as well. I turned them down in like 2015, 2016, which had equity options, and complete fool. Just didn't really know enough about payments back then. But so started the business that way, basically because all the companies I really wanted to work with didn't want me. So I thought, let's sort of see how this goes. I had to do consultancy in the early days. So it was like consulting as like a head of payments. That kind of paid the bills and then paved the way for really doing the deals, which take, 6 to 12 months. The sort of enterprise type deals that really I've kind of been working on for the last 10 years. So yeah, it was very, very difficult in the beginning. I then got as it always happens, I start to make money. And then I have a friend who was over at MasterCard at the time and goes, why don't you come back to London and, work alongside me? And by that point, I'd had enough of a taste to know that, no, I'm going to try and take this really as far as I can.
The creative freedom you get not being employed, I presume, as well, like to go back into that. Was that part of your thinking?
It was 100% to start with. And then what no founder often then talks about is what really happens is that's kind of how it is in the beginning. And then more and more and more responsibilities, you start to have more people that are reporting to yourself, and really you kind of find yourself almost back there again, where you actually have an incredible amount of responsibilities, stakeholders across the business. And if you want to go after, the top talent, you really kind of have to present yourself, that way as well. So yeah, that freedom originally was very fun the first sort of 2-3 years. And then the last 3 years, it was really about putting on a suit and a tie again and getting really serious. So.
Oh God, no, you won't get me in a suit and a tie.
Well, not a suit and a tie, but yeah.
I get what you're saying. And orchestration in essence as well, like what parts of the industry did you feel were broken that was going to pave the way for orchestration to start really getting adoption and becoming part of the mainstream in payments?
Absolutely. So the 5.5 years ago, when I was doing a consultancy role as head of payments, my job was to configure payment methods on Payment IQ. And Payment IQ, for those that don't know, is just got sold by Worldline. And
I was surprised to hear that was getting sold. Big jewel in their crown.
Have you not seen the stock price?
I see. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. Let's not go down that rabbit
hole. So it was literally my job. And back then, again, I don't really want to, badmouth. Back then it was, literally you had to know 20 to 30 lines of code as somebody that's operating it from a front end perspective, even when I had the mid credentials and everything. And I just sat there thinking, why can't I just copy and paste this mid and put it into my username, password, and secret key, etc., and just paste this somewhere for it to just recognize that. Yeah. And for the rest of the sort of other configuration piece, surely this can be done from a dashboard and not a string of code. So really that's where the idea started. And then a year and a half after that sort of moment, we then submitted for the UK Innovate Grant, which we were very lucky to win. Only something like, I think, 1 or 2% of those who actually apply are successful. So that was kind of like the birth then.
What does that equate to then? Is that financial
reward?
So
it was a total of 375,000, oh, wow. But there had to be, of that 375,000, a third of it had to be matched. So you basically do have to bring, some of your own capital. I went to the bank, borrowed a credit card interest rate of 16 point something percent. No exaggeration. Skin completely on the line.
But still, though, the war chest you then have, right? Like for putting your element in versus that is, is a really good starting point. It's like a seed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by that stage, I was the seed.
That's a good short for us for on our captions. And I was the seed.
Yeah, we just I didn't go down that traditional kind of route, which was incredibly hot back then. Which was kind of that whole VC walk-in pitch, tell everyone that you're going to be amazing.
And angel investors as well, like that angel investor boom of like go and find 30 different people to chuck in 10 grand each, right?
Absolutely. And then I remember looking at a list of, 100 people, and I also thought, I don't want to speak to 100 people. And it becomes a full-time job raising money.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever done it before, it involves a huge amount of time, resources, and really I want to sell and I want to build great product. And honestly, being a CEO or founder, you're kind of doing neither, or you are doing those things, but after you've then raised the money and begun deploying that capital. So it wasn't a route that we went down. And so we kind of decided to do it the hard way and, build incredibly slowly. But the nice thing about building slow is that problems that you become aware of and things that you may not have, it builds a really nice picture of what you then need to deploy moving forward. And you can be extra careful and really better about how that money gets deployed. I think what we've seen in the last sort of 4 to 5 years, and possibly even before then, you've seen a lot of money being spent. And unfortunately, it hasn't necessarily always gone on the right thing. So it hasn't gone really on those product pieces. And, maybe too much of it got spent on marketing a product that really quite wasn't there from a product perspective.
And there's been payments companies that have just disappeared from the market in the last 5 years, right? That had grown to what on paper seemed like a good sized company, the Kevins in the A2A world, and Tarabut taking Vine out the market, who'd done well in the automotive space and things like that, right? So you do see brands that they're just taken off the table.